the exact fitness routine for you to get into peak performance without spending all day at the gym. This is the routine I wish I would have known as a younger version of myself, and it would also have made me pissed off as well as my colleagues, because we were saying that because we went into business and finance that our days as athletes are over. And actually that was one of my colleagues told me, like, you can excel at anything in life, at golf or at Microsoft Excel, no pun intended, but you have to prioritize and you must pick your battles. And I kind of took that to heart, and then I was like, damn, no more skateboarding, no more martial arts, no more calisthenics, gym or whatever. And few years went by, and then I actually did go into that lifestyle of being that guy, 20% body fat, overweight, and that wasn't a good space to be in. And it wasn't just about, the body fat coming up to the lower abs, etc. Of course, that's not a nice thing, but also the mindset started to shift. I started to lose the roots where I've always loved being an athlete. And of course, there are truths to this, because as a kid you have most time, you can spend it anywhere, you can do whatever you want. But then life hits and then you don't have the time. And I thought that, okay, so there's no chance that I can, I need to slim down, I also need to change my mindset, but I can't do something truly unique. But then one day came and I was like, let's see. I've always been inspired by Steve Jobs, and he always said that you should embrace minimalism and less is more. And then I had thought back to the years when I studied finance in Montreal, Canada. I had one of the coolest things I've done in my life was to study at day finance and then at night go to one of the best MMA gyms in the world. I've told it many times on this channel, but if you're new to this channel, let me give you the backstory here. So I went there to the gym because I knew that Georges St. Pierre, who is one of the greatest, if not the greatest UFC champions of all time. And I was just a random finance kid. I got a membership at the gym, and then I started training there. And one day he walked in and I was totally starstruck. I couldn't get, the words out of my mouth, and started stuttering talking to him. And he had a huge fight coming up in Las Vegas. And I was like, okay, this is probably really intense, sparring, all of the stuff you expect from a UFC fighter. And sure, they of course need to spar and all of these things. But then I saw these guys, they went light, basic gymnastics, calisthenics, all of the basic push-ups. And it's you wouldn't expect from a UFC fighter. You would expect them to do brutal CrossFit or whatever. And then when I was out of shape, I went back to this mindset of Steve Jobs, Georges St. Pierre, and the UFC greats. And I was like, okay, I'm going to show up twice per week at the gym. I'm not going to use any weights, and I'm going to do it 45 minutes on my lunch break. So what happened? Well, I started putting goals for myself. I was like, okay, so maybe I can just work out twice per week. Maybe I can go on daily walks, 10,000 steps, all the basic stuff. And definitely not the biohacking routines. You hear all these fitness influencers talk about what's the latest science, blah, blah, blah. Really about the timeless principles that you should do. And I started to dream big, because then I started to truly slim down. And then I was like, all right, so where can I take this? And here is actually what you need to do. You need to write down your goals. And when you write down your goals, also reflect upon which sports did you like as a kid? I liked skateboarding, I liked climbing trees and all of this stuff. And then I was like, okay, so when I was in Montreal, that was actually a decade ago, and I realized in a park that I learned the pull-up and then I learned the muscle-up. And time then, now when I wanted to get into shape, I was like, all right, I'm going to put everything into the muscle-up. And I started grinding. But brutal David Goggins style, because again, you don't need that. Less is more. But I really lean in on the bodyweight exercises, the pull-ups, the push-ups, the dips, the lunges, the Bulgarian splits, the pistol squats. All of these basic like explosive exercises, but also like isometric holds. And 3 months later, I was actually able to break the national muscle up record. And then I started to dream bigger. And now at the ripe age, at the age of 33, I was like, okay, I'm gonna push forward this. And I'm 3 years in now at 36. Well, I'm 36 right now, and I'm still grinding on the muscle up for a world record. And I've gotten like to 37 reps. The world record is 45. I don't know, like, will they accept my technique or anything like this? But it's getting pretty close there. And by doing basic exercises and not some fancy biohacking routine, none of that stuff, I've gotten this far, and I'm continuing to grind. And of course, like many people are at this age, like, old, I should just like do the basics, or like, I don't know, go for a walk or play a little bit badminton, tennis, whatever. But what if you just take your own body and start to use it as resistance? You can use it in your hotel room, in the coffee room, or on the lunch break like I did. And then you start dreaming bigger. And I'm not saying like this is very, like I'm standing here telling you like all this cool stuff that I've done. And I would say that it definitely wasn't an easy road. It was in fact the opposite. It was a lonely road. But this is something I wish somebody would have told me years ago, because I was spending a lot of time in the gym, lifting weights 5 times per week as a young kid. I was also in a lot of pain because I lost my dad at a young age. So I didn't actually have anybody to tell me this, like the beauty of simplicity of how much you can achieve with it. So then here is the exact step-by-step that you can use, because like, yeah, like this is of course like a lonely road, and I've been through some intense, and you probably also have, but we don't want to get too deep there. There's also the positive side, and the fun stuff is actually here how you break it down. So what should you actually do then? I talked about the basic mechanics. Well, you really need to embrace them. Like push-ups is not a push-up if you don't do it properly. Like elbows in, full range of motion, not elbows out, not the head to the ground. Like you really want to have like a great posture, go like full range of motion. And same thing applies for a pull-up. You need elbows in, you don't want to have them flare out, chest to bar. All of these things will break down the muscle tissue. It will break down your mind as well. And that's what you want to do in small doses, like Nassim Taleb, the author of Black Swan. If you don't know, like a really good writer, author, and he also used to be a Wall Street option trader, talking about how like financial crisis or like how things can gain from uncertainty, and how you can get small doses of uncertainty and apply the right mindset, and you will become stronger. Similar when you're training for the muscle, you're going to break down muscle tissue, and then afterwards when you eat protein, through protein synthesis and rest, you will get stronger. Go too hard, and that is actually what most high performers like you do. You push too hard, you're like, okay, I need to have the best routine, I need to have these biohacking protocols, all of the fancy stuff. Like, I like it too. I like the sauna, I like the cold plunge, all of this stuff. But I'm telling you, start with the basics. And it's not just gonna get you into the basic, like conditioning, it will actually surpass 99% of people. Because most people don't believe it. Like you have proper technique on the push-up, pull-up, lunges, then you start transitioning into explosive muscle, into explosive pull-ups, explosive push-ups, one-arm push-ups, pull-ups, muscle-ups, pistol squat, weighted pistol squats. Like all of this will start to happen. You need to be patient. You need to start from the basic. And that's why I also made a simple course for you that you can get the whole 80-20 blueprint for 25% off if you go the free course that will actually get those basics for you. Once you completed this free course, you can email me and I will answer you, and then let's get down to work. You will get 25% off on the blueprint, and then you can continue what you learned in the 7 days 7 elite course. And that is actually the secret here. Like Steve Jobs used to say, simplicity can be harder than complexity, but once you find it the proper way, you can move mountains. And that is actually what we need to think here, that without again going too deep here, we're in a new industrial revolution. So we need to become anti-fragile. And that's again the fancy word that Nassim Taleb, which he likes to use. But it's really about embracing the uncertainty and having the basic foundations to get there. And that means that, you want to get, of course, the basics, you want to lose weight. You don't want to be overweight, you want to have lean muscle mass. But that's the first thing. You also want to build a strong mindset to embrace that uncertainty. And that's why I also made sure to make the free course that really embraces this, that how do you mindset that embraces uncertainty, anti-fragile mindset. And that is actually by going inwards, not looking for outside validation, and really just reflect where you are, and then starting to build these habits, because all of this is built on basic habits. Training twice per week, eating right, doing the recovery stuff, not overcomplicating things. So that's why I made the 7-day, 7 elite free habits that you can do. It's also linked below. This took me 16 years to learn, and I wish somebody would have taught me this back in the day. Somebody would have told me that, okay, this is the basic things that you need to do. All right, so that's the stuff we talk about today. And if you want to see my muscle up journey, I think it's pretty cool, check this video. Or if you want to see how I've taken this mindset to build my own virtual gaming company without any previous background, check this one.